Today on Murfreesboro Storytellers, we're visiting the new Rutherford County Judicial building located in downtown Murfreesboro. We're in the lobby of the new Rutherford County Judicial Center located in downtown Murfreesboro. And with us we have the Honorable Toby Gilley, Judge of the General Sessions Court of Rutherford County. Judge Gilley, what a marvelous and wonderful new addition to our community.
It was a long time coming, but it's something that it's just done so well. There's not really a flaw that we found with the building so far.
Well, it's a beautiful structure. I remember many years ago with Leverett and Norris service station being located on this corner. We'd do a broadcast in the afternoon of Carl Dipton and his band.
Oh, wow.
And that goes back a while.
Yep.
Speaking of the corner, we're at the corner of Maple and Lytle Streets.
That's right.
In downtown Murfreesboro. And to the rear of us is the old Rutherford County Health Department building.
That's right, which is now used as the Human Resources and Personnel Department for the county.
Very good. Tell us, Judge, about the building here. I noticed the listings over here of all the different floors and what we have in the building.
Okay, the first floor of the building are primarily the clerks, okay. Which is a great help because in the old building we had one set of clerks on the first floor, one on the second. It was just kind of broken up to where the public, if they came in, would have to actually try to decipher which clerk they belonged to.
Yeah.
And now we have all of them, with the exception of Chancery, on the first floor.
Okay.
On the second floor, we have 3 General Sessions criminal courts, which are presided over by Judge Benhall McFarland Jr.,
okay.
Judge Lisa Ishod, and Judge Ben Bennett. And they primarily hear criminal matters at the General Sessions level. And also, as you can see from the screen, on that second floor is what we have a big open room called the Resolution Center. Okay. And it's a big open mediation type room where folks can talk to the district attorney to try to resolve their case, work out plea bargains, and that sort of thing. We then move on up to the third floor, and that's where I'm housed.
Okay.
On the third floor, we have Courtroom 3D, which is the courtroom that I preside over, and that is General Sessions Civil and Probate Court. I'm the county probate judge, okay, as well. I also oversee one General Sessions criminal docket on Thursday mornings to help overflow from the other 3 criminal General Sessions judges. Next door to me, as you'll see on the screen, is Courtroom 3C, and that is Magistrate Diana Benson Burns, who oversees child support cases. Also on that floor with us, there is a satellite office for the DA to use as workspace and for the domestic violence coordinator to be able to utilize and meet with folks. As you'll see on the 4th floor, that is vacant. When the County Commission built this building, they wanted to have expansion space for, we need to have more courtrooms built. And so the 4th floor is expansion space. You get to the 5th floor, and that is where Chancellor Howard Wilson's courtroom is, along with his clerk and Master John Bratcher, and there's a courtroom for Master Bratcher as well. We then get up to the 6th floor, and that's where all of our circuit court judges have their courtrooms.
Okay. Wonderful. A lot of space and for the future as well as for the present.
That's right.
Now tell us about this mural that's to our rear. This is certainly a very dominating part of the lobby.
It is the focal point of the lobby, and I think all of us are very proud of this. If you're watching this on TV with us right now, I'm sure what you think is a black and white or shades of gray picture of the cupola and of the clock tower of the old historic courthouse in the center of the square. If you get up close to it, each one of those little squares, that mural is actually a mosaic. Mm-hmm. And each one of those squares, which is a little bit bigger than a postage stamp, are pictures of folks who have come and gone over the years, scenes on the square, pictures that Shacklets have had in archives for years. And it's kind of fun to go over there and you can look and find yourself in there various times throughout it. I spent about 30 minutes the first day in here just when we were having the ribbon cutting trying to find myself in the pictures. But from top to bottom, every one of those squares is a picture of someone or some occurrence or business on the square from either current or days gone by.
I'm not sure of the number, but I've been told over 44,000 photographs are actually on that mosaic.
That sounds about right.
So it's a tremendous addition to the building.
And the amount of work, I cannot imagine what will go into it with computer aid or not, to find the varying shades of the photographs that you need to make the mosaic come out as perfectly as it did.
You're right. Now, let's move to your courtroom and look at the upper structure.
Okay.
All right. Now we're on the third floor of the Judicial building, the Rutherford County Court building. with Judge Toby Gilley again, and this is 3D, I believe.
It is
courtroom
3D.
3D. So this is your courtroom, right, Judge?
It is the courtroom I preside over every day, yes, sir.
Judge Gilley, tell us about courtroom 3D and your presiding here.
Okay, there are 3 or 4 primary dockets that we go over every weekend here, and I'll kind of go over the schedule with you. The biggest thing that we do is General Sessions Civil Court.
Okay.
There are some Fridays when I will have as many as 1,000 to 1,200 cases on a Friday docket.
And you will review or hear or see?
Something will take place in every one of those cases over the course of that day.
My word.
General Sessions Civil, we have it every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday beginning at 9 o'clock until whenever it's done. And those are cases primarily landlord-tenant eviction cases,
Okay.
Car accident cases, debt collection where folks have gotten behind on credit card bills, breach of contracts, home improvement situations where someone feels a contractor hasn't fulfilled their obligations, those sorts of things. Also, every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday beginning at 8:30, we have our probate docket. As I was saying downstairs, I'm also the county probate judge. And that is where folks, if they've had a loved one that's passed away, they come to open their estate. If there's a will contest, those are the types of things I preside over. In that 8:30 docket, we use that for the shorter matters in that. Thursday mornings at 9 o'clock, I do a criminal docket to help the overflow of the 3 judges downstairs, the driving on revoked docket. And then on Thursdays, I have court off-site at 2 locations.
Now, where are they?
One is the VA hospital and the other is at Trust Point Hospital. On Thursdays, I do involuntary commitment hearings for mental patients. Folks that have been taken to either the VA or to Trust Point to be treated for a mental or emotional disturbance, and the doctors feel they're not ready to go home, but the person is either not capable of making that decision on their own or they want to leave and the doctors don't feel that it's best. And so rather than having those patients transported to the courthouse, I and my staff go to those facilities and hold court in a conference room out there every Thursday. And incidentally, John, last year alone I saw almost 2,000 patients just at Trust Point.
My word.
And Trust Point, as you know, has just doubled their space, and so that docket's only going to continue to grow.
At a tremendous addition. Is that sort of typical that more and more of those types of cases going on with mental illness?
There are. I think we only scratched the surface in those situations. I want to go back to the rest of the calendar because I may have alluded to making thinking I only work 2 or 3 days a week, and I don't leave anybody with that. On Mondays, we reserve Monday for special cases that may take an entire day to have a trial in, or in probate cases if someone's contesting a will. I'm the only sessions judge in the building that is empowered to, the others could, but I'm the one assigned to these, to hold jury trials in will contests. And so those can take all day.
I was going to ask you, are those with juries?
They can either be with jury or without. That's up to the litigants to decide if they want me to hear the case on my own or if they want a jury to decide those. So Mondays are reserved for those, and that's also what we typically would do in the afternoons, or those longer cases that take more than the situation where you could run through several hundred in the course of a morning. The other thing I do with the time up here, as you all were coming in, I went to the circuit judges back when I first went on the bench and offered that in their cases that I would conduct mediations or judicial settlement conferences free to the litigants to try to help them settle by agreement some of the cases that are in circuit court. And I do quite a few of those on those other days too.
How large a staff do you have?
I have 2 full-time staff that work with me. I have a legal assistant, Patsy Bolin, and then I have a court administrator, Lisa Bell, who also has a law degree, was a practicing attorney before she came to work in the court system. And she's our court administrator. And then in every time that the court is in session, if it's probate court, there's a clerk from Miss Lisa Kroll's office that is here to participate. And then if it's civil court, or the mental health court, it is someone from Melissa Harrell's office that is here to participate.
Is a typical week, like you were talking about, the same for all the different judges that you've mentioned earlier that are in this building?
It actually kind of varies a little bit for all of us. The 3 General Sessions criminal judges, they will have plea days, arraignment days. And they will have hundreds upon hundreds of folks coming through their docket every day too. Some of them are working out criminal pleas. Some of them are needing to know if their case is going to be bound over to a grand jury. As you work your way up through the building to the other floors, the circuit judges, some of them may be trying medical malpractice jury trials, car wreck cases that are big enough that have juries involved in them. Some of them do domestic divorce, child support cases only. And then others do criminal matters that have exceeded the jurisdiction of the General Sessions criminal judges and are now up to circuit court, where you may see a jury trial for a murder case, you know, an assault and battery case, that sort of thing. And so we all have kind of varying functions. Now, Magistrate Burns, who's in the courtroom 3C right next door to me, she has a variety of individuals and personalities that will come through her courtroom during the day, but her role is purely a child support docket.
And that's
people who haven't either paid child support or having a difficulty coming to an agreement as to what their child support should be, and she has to make that determination.
And that's your reference to interesting individuals that come through there then, right?
There are some in all of our courts.
Well, I'm sure.
Everybody from different walks of life have a different spin on what the outcome of the case should be, and that's everything.
Now you have an officer in your courtroom each time you're presiding.
Generally, there is an armed deputy that patrols the hallway, and when the bigger dockets, they will come in here and stay with us. If some of the smaller dockets, they'll patrol the hallways. But the sheriff's office has done a tremendous job of staffing this building and making security of this building a top priority.
I can imagine, yeah.
To give you some examples of how that's come about, to compare and contrast the old building that we were in to now. In the old building, on any given Thursday, I would ride the same elevator with the individuals on my criminal docket up to the courtroom.
Oh my word.
Or be in the same stairwell with them in that regard. In my old courtroom, I had 2 holding cells in the event that I had someone that was being transported from the jail to be in there. They would unlock the door, and a sheriff's deputy would stand out beside it and guard that. In this building now, there are 2 doors that you see behind us right now with the exits over those. The only way to access that back hallway is if you have a security badge like I have. That's where the judge's offices, all the judge's offices are on that back corridor. Behind that door is an elevator that goes directly to a parking garage that all of the judges only have access to. And so we can go up and forth those without having the security concern we had before. Also, if you'll look over your left, I guess that's your right shoulder, and I'm looking from your left, that door there is where the holding cells are. There are 4 in each courtroom, but instead of the officers now bringing, like they did in the old building, the inmates in through this same set of double doors through everyone else sitting here and walking in there is a sally port in the basement of this building. They pull in and go into a secure elevator that goes only to the holding cells. The holding cells are in the same spot in every one of our courtrooms. And so once they are in that elevator and holding cell pattern, it's completely secure for everyone else that's in the courtroom.
Well, I can imagine the improvement over the old situation you had in the former building. It's just amazing that you were able to do all you do in that old building prior to getting here. So you were definitely in need for a new building and more space.
You know, looking back, we did it every day and that sort of thing. And now I guess you get spoiled. You look at this new building and think, how did we do that in those parameters? But
Judge Gilley, tell us a little bit more about yourself. I know you served on the Murfreesboro City Council.
I did. I was elected 4 terms to the City Council. Midway through my 4th term is when I ran for and was elected General Sessions Judge. And gosh, it's hard to believe now, John, but I've been on the bench 4.5 years.
2014 when you were
that's
elected,
right. Been on here going on 4.5 years now. Before going on the bench, and in addition to being city council, I was in private practice with Jock Rucker and son of former Senator John Rucker Sr. And for about the last 11 years, I have been teaching at MTSU. and just getting ready to start this Thursday my class for the semester.
Okay.
And
you were president of student body at
I was
MTSU.
student body president, and let's see, that would have been 1992 to 1993, and then from 93 to 94, I was appointed by Governor McWhorter to be, I think, MTSU's only second student regent to the TBR.
Oh, to the Board of Regents.
I think it was Kent Seiler and then me.
I see, okay.
Well, they've had some others since us, but
Yeah.
I was the first one since Kent Seiler to get that gubernatorial appointment.
Excellent, okay. What are you lacking in this building? Anything?
I'll be honest with you, it's hard to say that there's anything really lacking in this building. A lot of the litigants that I see in my courtroom don't have attorneys.
Okay.
It's traditional small claims court when we talk about sessions. There are a lot of do have attorneys, but a lot of them don't. And in the age that we're in now, when people come in and I'll say, do you have pictures? Do you have anything in writing? Well, the first thing they want to do is pull out their cell phone and show me their picture or their iPad or whatever. In the old building, I had on my own bought a little pocket Pico projector that's about the size of a cell phone that I could put images up on the wall for people to look at. What I've got in this building now, if you'll see over there, is a 70-inch high-definition monitor that I requested and IT provided me with. I have cables at the bench that no matter what brand your cell phone is, I can plug your cell phone directly into and put whatever pictures, if there are texts that someone's wanting me to look at, up on the monitor for everyone. And a few weeks ago, I started thinking about the fact that for the people that actually do bring in printed off photos and leases and that sort of thing, it'd be nice to be able to utilize that monitor for that well. So I call IT and they provide me with a portable document camera that I attach to my laptop. From the bench, they hand me their printed off photo or their document. I put it up and it puts it straight up on the screen, and I've got the ability to, from the laptop, if I need to highlight things, to draw on it. And so things that we didn't have in the old building that now I'm starting to already take for granted to have.
That's tremendous. What is your greatest challenge as a judge from day to day?
Overall, the biggest thing you've got to think about when you're on the bench is obviously you're going into a situation to where probably at least half the people you see every day are getting something less than what they wanted. What I found in my job is that a majority of the litigants in general sessions are really wanting someone to listen and to kind of help them navigate it and help them almost mediate their situation. Mm-hmm. There is that small percentage of the folks that come in here that are determined that they've got something on their chest, so to speak, that they need to get off, and you've got to realize which folks are needing that versus the former that I decided. Probably the overall biggest challenge, though, is when you see a case that's a close call and trying to figure out, am I making the right call? Probably the thing that causes me to lose the most sleep on any given week, I will be honest, is the mental health court.
I can imagine.
The very first week that I was there, a young 20-something-year-old girl in tears begging me to let her go home, and no way for her to logically understand why I was telling her that she couldn't go home. Those are the nights that you have trouble sleeping in this job.
No. Isn't that something that has continued to increase in our world today, mental health problems?
It absolutely is, and I made the reference to the young girl that I saw before, but as the boomers continue to age, the prevalence of Alzheimer's and dementia, the number of folks, the level of the population that seeing that issue with those individuals end up in that same category because if they're at a extended care facility, long-term care facility, and because of those conditions have become violent or have issues where they can't be cared for there, then a lot of times there is psychiatric help that we have to look at, and they end up on my docket at those hospitals as well. And the number of those folks is going to do nothing but continue to climb again as the boomer generation continues to age.
What's the most unusual case you've had to hear over the years, without being specific to who and what?
One of the most probably unusual, and I hear a lot of things in here. It's amazing what folks can think of to fight over.
I might should have said challenging.
Well, but let me, before I tell you that, let me share this. I share this with you. Folks that don't think that the participants on Judge Judy and Hot Bench are actual from real courtrooms, I can verify that they are. There is a scout from Judge Judy and Hot Bench that goes through my docket, the Nashville docket, the Memphis and Knoxville docket on a weekly basis.
Is that
to
true?
try to offer to pay folks for a free trip to California or wherever they're filming to be. And occasionally I get orders to sign off on saying our differences have been resolved on the Judge Judy show. So that's real. So the cases you see on TV, if you come watch our courtroom, sometimes that's some of what you see. Other times it becomes a lot more heartbreaking. I had been on the bench about 3 weeks, and I had a couple of individuals come before me that it was 2 brothers, and one was telling me that their mother had passed away a couple of years before. Mm-hmm. They were still working on the estate. And in the mother's will, she had suggested, or not suggested, she had ordered that she be buried wearing a specific ring, a specific article of jewelry. Well, one of the brothers, a couple of years later, it came to his attention that another family member had that ring, that their mother had not been buried with it. And I had to look at those 2 brothers and say, there's no way I can give money to make up for this. Sure. There's no provision in the will for that. If you want me to honor the terms of your mother's will, what I have to do is order that her body be disinterred. Mm-hmm. And I learned that 2 weeks on the job. In a criminal case, you exhume a body. Okay. In a civil case, you disinter a body. Okay. And I said, the only thing I can do to make this right is to have your mother's body disinterred, the vault and the casket opened, and her ring placed on her 2 years later. And heartbreakingly, the brother who's come to the attention of what the situation was said, let my mama rest in peace. I just wanted someone to know what had happened.
Thank you, Judge Toby Gilley, General Session Judge for Rutherford County, for visiting with us at the new Judicial building here in Rutherford County and talking about your profession as an attorney and as a judge. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, John.
Next month on Murfreesboro Storytellers, we visit the Center for the Arts to see what's happening there and how they play a role in promoting arts in our community.